we're gonna talk about the technology itself. So I'm Sherry, a senior AI ML specialist solutions architect at AWS. Today, together with me is my colleague, Veda Raman, who's another senior AI ML specialist solutions architect at AWS. So we're gonna introduce you generative AI offerings on AWS. So basically, I'm gonna do the talk part and Veda gonna do the demo part. So first, what is generative AI? So generative AI is actually an AI technology that can produce content. Those contents are close enough to human-generated content for real-world tasks. So under this technology itself is powered by a set of machine learning models called foundation models. These models are pre-trained on massive corpus of data sets, and this model itself has several hundred billion of parameters. So these models are trained through a pre-trained stage by self-supervised learning process, so that after the pre-training stage, a pre-trained model can be adapted to multiple tasks. So with this generative AI technology, we can actually use that to a lot of use cases. For example, you can build a chatbot, much intelligent than the traditional chatbot, or you can build a very intelligent personalization engine to enhance your customer experience, or you can do some enterprise level conversational search, or you can do summarization of a book or of a paragraph, or do code generations so as to boost your employees' productivity. You also can use this generative AI technology to create new content, like write an email for you, or for example, generate ad post for this type of creative and content creation. And another set of use cases here is about automate your business operations. For example, you can automate your document processing applications, or you can use it to automate the data augmentation, this type of business applications. So generative AI, it has various use cases here. And our AWS platform, we do have a 3-layer generative AI portfolio to support all your needs to build foundation models or build generative AI applications. Let's take a look at this 3-tier stack of the Amazon generative AI portfolio. So the bottom layer is machine learning infrastructures and machine learning frameworks. This layer, the target group is for self-managed machine learning. So people who are using this tier, mostly they are model providers. So in this tier, we provide the Amazon EC2 instances, which are powered by latest NVIDIA GPUs, as well as our AWS developed silicon chips. For example, AWS training, which is ideal for training or fine-tuning a foundation model, and AWS Inferential 2, which is an ideal silicon chip for you to host your foundation model. Under this tier, we also provide a 3-way collaboration between AWS customer and our partner. Partner here is Meta, PyTorch, and Hugging Face to help you to develop your models. And the middle tier here is machine learning service. So machine learning service we mentioned here is Amazon SageMaker. Amazon SageMaker, it's an integrated development environment for you to build, train, and deploy models at scale. So inside SageMaker has a feature called SageMaker JumpStart. So in SageMaker JumpStart, there's a foundation model hub where we provide public available models as well as proprietary models for model tuners to use. So you can easily deploy these pre-trained models directly into your environment for model inference, or you can choose to fine-tune the public available models, use your data. And on the top layer, it's AI services here. So there are 2 AI services that we provide with regard to generative AI, this technology. So the first is Amazon Bedrock. Amazon Bedrock is a fully managed serverless service that allows you to use foundation models by API calls. This is I'd say this is the easiest way for you to build generative AI applications. We provide first-party foundation models, that's Amazon Titan models, as well as third-party models for you to choose flexibly from this model pool. And another service that we provide here is called Amazon Code Whisper. So Amazon Code Whisper is AI code companion that helps you to generate the code based upon your comments as well as above codes to generate new lines of or new modules of the code. So the top tier here, AI services, the user group is basically for the model consumers so that they can easily use these pre-trained models from Bedrock by API calls to build generative AI applications quickly. Now let's take a look at specifically SageMaker JumpStart, Foundation Model Hub, as well as Amazon Bedrock, these two services. So as I said, that in SageMaker JumpStart, we have a Foundation Model Hub, which have a lot of variety of foundation models. We have public available models, which are models from Hugging Face, Stability AI, as well as our Amazon Alexa team's Alexa TM model. And we also have those proprietary models from our leading partner startup companies. For example, models from AI21 Labs, from Cohere, from Lydon, from Databricks, and so on. So these models, they have their own strengths on different tasks. So by providing you this foundation model hub, you can choose flexibly from a wide range of models based upon your specific task. If it's kind of a text-to-text generation or Q&A task, or if it's an image generation task, or if it's a summarizing task, so you can choose flexibly from these models. And to use the foundation models on SageMaker JumpStart is fairly easy. So first, within that foundation model hub, you can choose the foundation models that you want. Specifically, you can try out the models in our AWS console playground to try those out. And it's free for you to try out the models. You just simply input your prompt, put your prompt in that foundation model hub's playground, and then the model gonna give you the response. And based upon the response, you can choose like which model you want to use. Then after you decide that, you can deploy the model for inference. And the deployment can be low code deployment, or it can be a deployment via an instructed notebook. You can follow the notebook to deploy the model easily, or you just do one-click deployment based upon model. Then for the models that is for the models that are fine-tunable, which is those public available models, or public available models are fine-tunable inside the foundation model hub. You can further fine-tune the model or to fit better on your own data set, and you can build all these models into your machine learning workflow. And the thing that I want to highlight here is that when you are using these foundation models, the data always stays in your account. The data that I mentioned here, including the model artifact, the training instances, or the inference instances, or the logs, model inputs, model outputs, all this data, they always stays in your account. And since JumpStart is a feature in Amazon SageMaker, so which means that all these foundation models, you can fully integrate it with Amazon SageMaker features. For example, you can build it, build it into one step of your machine learning ML ops platform by using SageMaker pipelines to change the process into a machine learning pipeline. Or you can use SageMaker fully managed training feature to do the fine tuning of the model and so on. So all SageMaker features, it's fully integrated with this JumpStart. Next, the top tier that I mentioned is Amazon Bedrock. again, Bedrock, it also gives you a choice of various foundation models for you to use. We have our first party models, which is Amazon title models. Amazon title models, we provide two types of title models. One's title text, the other's title embeddings. So title text is a text-to-text model that can perform text summarization, text generation or text classification, Q&A, this type of tasks. And the Amazon title embeddings is a text-to-embedding model, which converts the input text into numerical representations of that text. So these title embedding models is a model that you can use it in use cases like enterprise search or personalization, these type of use cases. Besides the first-party models, we also provide third-party models by those leading startup companies like AI21 Labs, Cohere, Stability AI, and Anthropic. So recently we've added, I mean at last month's New York Summit, we announced that we're gonna add a couple of new models from these leading startups into Amazon Bedrock, in addition to their previous models of Bedrock. As I mentioned, to use these models, it's simplified API calls. We manage all the infrastructure because Amazon Bedrock is a fully managed serverless service for you to use the foundation models to build your generative AI applications quickly and easily. Couple of the features that I want to highlight here. So besides that, using API to interact with foundation models to build generative AI technologies, you can also privately customize the foundation models using your own organization's data. And all the data that's sent to the foundation model, I mean, the data, for example, your prompt, or the fine-tuning data that you use to fine-tune the data, or even the output of the model, all the data that you send to the model, it belongs to yourself. We are not, AWS is not going to use your data to further improve our model. Also, for those fine-tuned models, it belongs to you only. So AWS not going to use your fine-tuned model, or AWS is not going to share your fine-tuned model with any of customers. And also, we have many security features to enhance your data protection, specifically for our first-party models to follow the responsible AI best practices. So for the first-party models, we did add guardrails to the models, which means that all those harmful input as well as harmful output can be filtered out. So to make sure the input and output to the model from the model is healthy, this is an addition that we added to Amazon title models. And together with Amazon Bedrock, you can use other AWS tools that you've been already familiar with to deploy or to build scalable, reliable, and secure generative AI applications. And we know that just by foundation models, not enough to build a generative AI applications. For example, one generative AI application usually includes multiple tasks. For example, one task maybe it's connect to your database to retrieve the data, then pass it over to one foundation model, then that result maybe gonna pass over to another foundation model. Then the final result, maybe you need to trigger some other actions or write that back to the database again. So for this, we specifically, this is also a new launch at New York Summit that we announced the agents for Amazon Bedrock. So Amazon Bedrock agents, it breaks down and orchestrates those tasks so that you can build the whole generative AI applications much easier. You can take actions by executing just the API calls, Amazon Bedrock agents API calls, and it allows you to securely access and retrieve your company's data. Finally, I'm gonna do a short conclusion about why you should choose AWS for generative AI. So from what I just introduced, you can easily tell that AWS provides you a flexibility to build your generative AI applications. No matter if you choose from the middle tier or the top tier, we provide you a variety of foundation models for you to use. And always all the data belong to the customer and all the fine-tuned models belong to the customer. We are not going to use your data to improve our model, or we are not going to use your fine-tuned model or share that with any other customers. And on the infrastructure layer, we provide the most cost-effective infrastructure, right? We all those AWS training and AWS infrastructure to these two AWS developed silicon chips. They are much cheaper than a normal EC2 instances when you use it for foundation model training or foundation model inference. And Bedrock gives you the easiest way to build with foundation models because everything's by API calls. You do not need to worry about the infrastructure. You do not need to worry about the algorithm itself. And we also provide some generative AI powered solutions. These solutions are previous solutions that you can easily deploy into your AWS account. Next part is gonna be 2 short demos, and I'm gonna hand it over to Veda to show you 2 demos, give you some insights like how you can build a generative AI application.
Excellent. So Veda, I'm looking forward to this. Just in managing your time, we're going to keep things flowing. We want to keep this to about 7-8 minutes of the live demos. And then I also want to reiterate that if you have further questions, you can always get AWS and the team to do more in-depth demos tied to your specific organization with Veda and Sherry.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Sherry. I'm going to start by sharing my screen here. Are you able to see my screen? Yeah, okay. So thank you all for joining us today. So I'm going to quickly walk through a couple of demonstrations, specifically some of the use cases that Sherry mentioned. So I'm going to show you how you can use the power of foundation models to create a virtual assistant for a market research analyst. And then I'm going to show you how you could use a foundation model to generate images as well. So first, for the market research assistant. So essentially, using the power of foundation models, I can use natural language queries into this application, the demo application that we have built, ask it natural language questions and have this application, send those natural language questions as queries to my databases, get the responses back and give me back the results in natural language. So I'm going to assume the role as a marketing analyst, and I'm not super technical in nature, and I cannot work on SQL queries. So I'm going to use this application to perform analysis on whether a particular customer of mine will enroll for a certificate of deposit. So in order to perform that analysis, me as the marketing analyst, I'm going to ask natural language questions to this application on the data that is present in multiple different databases in my organization, right? And the data set contains information about our customer demographics, responses to some marketing events, and all of the other external factors. So here are some sample questions. This is just a demonstration just to show you art of possible. So essentially, when I give these natural language questions, what is happening under the hood is this application takes that natural language question and creates a SQL query. Essentially, we are using the large language model, giving it the prompt, and asking it to generate a SQL query. And that SQL query is then used to execute against our databases, and the answers that are gotten back from that SQL query, we again pass it through the large language model, and the large language model is now able to summarize the results in a natural language manner as well. So for example, I asked this the question like, what percentage of customers in each age group generally enroll for deposits? And if you can see, this is the query that it generated and the SQL result that it got back. And now the large language model is able to summarize that in a nice manner for me, right? And then I asked further questions like, what is the enrollment rate for each marital status? And then the LLM came back that married has this number, divorced has this number, and single has this number. Then I asked it the question, what day of the week had the most successful campaign outcomes? And it said the most successful campaign outcomes was on Thursdays. And I can ask it other questions like, I'll pick this question, what education level had the most successful campaign outcomes? Oh, it errored out, obviously. So, but as you can see, the demo shows you how you can ask it natural language questions and get back information from your data. So let's look at how the architecture itself is built behind the scenes here. So the architecture, how this works, is use a couple of AWS services. So we use a AWS service called AWS Glue, which is essentially a data integration service, which is serverless in nature, which will go ahead and crawl all our data sources and the databases, and then create this metadata catalog in the Glue data catalog, right? And this crawling happens frequently. And now when the user, as a market analyst, you ask questions to this application, the question is then passed to the foundation model that can be either hosted on Bedrock or can be hosted on SageMaker JumpStart. And the prompt, as well as the metadata from the metadata catalog, and the question is passed to the foundation model. And the foundation model is asked to generate a SQL query. And now that application will take the generated SQL query and query the database using that SQL query. And once the results are gotten back from that SQL query, the results are then again passed to the foundation model with another prompt asking it to summarize the results for this question. And that summary is what this application gives us back. So as you can see, you can use the power of these foundation models to build applications within your organization to use your own data and give answers based on your data. This technique is typically called retrieval augmented generation. And the newly launched Bedrock agents is something that can be useful here to build such an application as well. And with that, that's all I had to showcase. If we have any questions, I can take the questions.